couple other times after that, I saw it opening, and I had to throw it just because out of reaction. I threw it again and kind of slipped out. So 2 or 3 times I felt like my shoulder kind of slipped out. So I had to really be disciplined to use a lot of feints. And if you guys saw me, a couple times you saw me come forward, it looked like I was going to throw the right hand, and I had to really, really guess on, like second guess whether I should throw it or not, or just, proceed with pushing forward. So that's what champions do, man. We go out there and I fought a fight, I broke my foot the first kick of the fight against Kelvin Gastelum, and I had to go out there and I had to finish the fight. So I'm very, very happy in my condition and very happy in my coaching and game plan and just the mental toughness.
And last thing for me, Tyron, I know you didn't want to talk about George St. Pierre before the fight, but you're willing to mention him afterwards. It sounds like he's really campaigning for a fight with Michael Bisping, doesn't want anything else. I mean, how does that impact you? I know you want to prove that you're the greatest welterweight of all time, and that would seem to be an opportunity to do it. So what's your opinion when he's trying to get this Michael Bisping fight instead?
Well, I said that earlier when we had the press conference because I listened to Bisping podcast, and he had his best friend George on there, and they were talking about fighting each other in a very kumbaya fashion. So with that said, I had already kind of put that out the back of my mind. If I think too much down the road, as I did when I fought Rory McDonald, I was thinking about, hey, if you beat Rory, you fighting for the world title, and I went out there and got my butt whooped. So I like to focus and give my opponent the respect he deserves. He's in that position for a reason. I gave him the respect, and now he should have to fight me. If you were the best welterweight of all time, you're going to come back into the sport and go up a weight class. I guarantee you if Damian Maia would have won, he would have been talking about fighting Damian Maia. I guarantee you if Stephen Thompson would have won, he'd have been looking to fight Stephen Thompson. He doesn't want to fight me because I'm a better version of him.
Tyron, apparently Dana White was asked just a few minutes ago whether or not this performance was going to affect the potential GSP fight, to which he replied, absolutely, and he said it means good things for Bisping. If you could give your initial thoughts on that particular quote, and then also, if GSP isn't next, who do you have on your radar next?
Did you hear my reply at the press conference when he said I was fighting I was fighting GSP next if I won? I said these guys have already been talking about fighting. It's a very, it's like Dory the fish. Everybody have a very short-term memory. When was the last time Michael Bisping fought? You know what I mean? Think about it. Like really, I fought 4 world title fights against the number 1 contenders. Has he ever fought a number 1 contender? I fought the number 1 contender twice. I fought the number 1 contender after that. And I fought the world champion, who was Robbie Lawler at the time before that. I'm the only one that's going by the old set of rules. So if it's not George St. Pierre, let him run. But guess what? Whoever you put in front of me, I'm going to run through them. I'm going to beat them. And if he does not fight me, by default, I will be the best welterweight of all times.
And by the use of your feints and some of the head movement, it looked like your time at Wild Card definitely improved some of your striking. Is that something that you plan on keeping as a part of your regular camp?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 8 years. A lot of people I just don't talk about, everything that I do. I got a large family. I have a home in St. Louis, so I can't get to LA as much as I can. So if I just go and boast about all my training at Wild Card, someone that's single, that don't have any kids, they can just travel there and spend months and months and months. So I just didn't want to give up that competitive advantage. But it was a couple times where, I faded back through a right hand. He hit me with a left hand. I kind of baited him to throw it again. I slipped it. I threw a right hand, knocked him down. And, I felt like tonight a true martial artist can appreciate the performance that was put on tonight. I love our fans, but you guys know what they want to see. They want to see blood, cut, gore, back. They don't even want to see a lopsided fight. They want to see one person almost winning, other person coming back almost winning. Both guys look like they're about to die, and at the very end, they do 10 seconds of just standing in the middle, punching each other and raising their hand. That's their ideal of a great fight.
Tyron, the fight was only announced 5 weeks ago, but prior to that, you had actually been hinting that you were going to fight in July for quite some time. Is there any particular reason why it took so long to book Damian? Was there something else that you were considering going into this?
It wasn't really that I was considering. It's just the fact that, you speak things into existence. Ask Ariel how many times I told him that I was going to fight somebody, or I felt like somebody was going to maybe get injured. I might be pulling up in a car. Man, I'm almost prophetic with it. So I kept campaigning for July 29, July 29, July 29. And I think Damian, just because of training camps, fighting, some seminars, some other commitments, I think he wanted to wait. But in this sport, you can't wait as a contender. You don't know when you're going to get another shot. You don't know if an injury is going to happen or what the heck's going to happen. So you got to step up. You got to step up to the plate, and you got to go out there and show everybody you're the best. we was given the same amount of time. You know, he came out. He even landed, like, I got some knots on my face. He landed some good straight lefts. And from a jiu-jitsu guy, you wouldn't expect that. So shout out to him. He never stopped attempting to take me down. He never stopped attempting to push forward. And, you know, with a lot of time, I felt like our conditioning on both parties looked really good.
If you're so prophetic, what do you prophesize next?
I prophesize whooping somebody's ass that they put in the octagon against me. I don't know who it's going to be because, obviously, I'm not pulling the strings behind the curtain, but that's what I prophesy.
During the fight, the fans started to get their cell phone lights out. I'm curious, could you actually see that from the cage, and was that distracting in any way?
Man, nothing distracts me when I'm in there. You can boo. I've never seen a boo enter the octagon and help my opponent double team me. I've never seen it help them get the victory. I've never seen it take me off my rocker. I got to be focused like Flint because this is the best division in the world. These guys, like how many fight win streak was Stephen Thompson on when I fought him in New York? 6, 7? 7, okay? You think he beat 7 bums? Or did he beat out the current interim champion, Robert Whitaker? Did he beat Patrick Cote? Did he beat Johnny Hendricks? Did he beat Roy McDonald? What's the difference? These guys aren't going to look good against me because I do my homework. I respect them as opponents. I pick their tools, and I don't let them use their tools against me. Then I force them to deal with my power, my speed, and that's what we saw in this fight, and that's what you're going to continue to see.
And when you knocked Damian down in the second round, how close were you to following him down there and finishing it up?
Natural reaction, I wanted to kind of go down there and get a couple punches in there, but the logic came in and say, is it really worth it to go down there and have him jump half guard, deep half guard, grab your back, and now you're fighting a whole different battle than just grabbing 2 punches real quick.
Afterwards on FS1, you said your shoulder was bothering you. Did that impact your fight, and how bad is it, do you think? So?
You know, I'm not a doctor, and I don't have an MRI machine, so I'm not going to diagnose myself. Obviously, I want, you know, to fight in November, so I'm going to get an MRI on Monday. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever had a shoulder injury, but I've torn my left labrum before, and after you tear it, occasionally it slips out of socket. So it didn't feel like it did when I actually tore my labrum on the left side, but it felt like it slipped out of socket a couple times. And then I threw 2 or 3 other punches, and when I connected and landed, it kind of went out of socket. So I'm just hoping that with some ice, some ibuprofen, some rest, sling this baby up for a couple of days, I should be okay. So I'm just hoping that everything's good, and I'll be ready to fight in November.
Hey, Tyron, I'm just wondering if you got a chance to see any of the Cowboy Lawler fight, and if you did, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I saw a few clips. I try not to watch. I try not to watch a lot of other fights when I'm fighting because I don't want my emotions to get high. I don't want to get low. I don't want to get too excited. I want to just focus on my fight. I saw a few clips of it. I thought the second round looked like both guys kind of was almost taking off a little bit. It looked like Robbie came out really strong in the first round in the beginning. Cowboy landed, did he land a takedown in the first round? Landed a takedown, so that round was kind of close. And then I think he got poked in the eye in the third, and Robbie kind of took it away. So I didn't get to see every moment of it, but, I mean, both of those guys came out to fight. When they're mentally strong and mentally ready, I think they both are, you know, top fighters for a reason.
Tyron, if it's not GSP, who do you think makes sense? Is there anyone that it's not very clear as to who would be the #1 contender?
Yeah, I think the clarity should just be yours. It shouldn't, like, I don't understand how you have an interim title, right? You got Robert Whitaker, who just beat Yoel Romero after, you know, I think he probably suffered a small knee injury. He went out there resiliently and beat a very, very tough Yoel Romero. He deserved to fight Bisping next. How long is Bisping gonna milk this knee injury? Is his knee severed, or what the hell is going on? He should be fighting the #1 contenders like I've had to do. You think Stephen Thompson's an easy fight, or Damian Maia? These guys are world beaters. So if you don't have to participate and use the same old school rubric of fighting the #1 contender, then why should I? But let me say something about fighting Nate Diaz, Georges St. Pierre. The internet is gonna flip. Oh, you need to fight more, you know, more guys first before you get a super fight. So as I said earlier, whoever they put in front of me, I'm just gonna beat them. Then the next person, I'm gonna beat them. And before it's said and done, you know, just look at my belt. I got so many notches on my belt already that nobody gives me credit for. The Carlos Condit, the Robbie Lawlers, the Paul Daly's, the Tarek Safadis, the Dong Young Kims, the Kelvin Gassalims, you know, Robbie Lawler, Stephen Thompson, Damian Maia. Like, all these guys get the credit. and the champion don't ever get the credit. So guess what? I don't expect it. I'm just going to go out there, keep kicking ass, doing my thing, and I'll be the greatest when I walk away.
And just curious, when they have a plan for the next fight, they'll usually say it in the octagon after a win. They'll say, oh, you're next for this guy, etc. You mentioned GSP, but Joe never mentioned GSP and mentioned how, you know, this was the least amount of strikes thrown in a title fight. Did you take that as an odd sign, like that this is kind of slipping away from you?
No, I don't think it's slipping away. I mean, if he doesn't want to fight me, he doesn't want to fight me. But I take it as a poor usage of stats. That's like somebody in the wrestling community say, "Oh, he led the conference in escapes." That means he got his ass taken down 1,000,000 times and he got an escape. How about you say you have the fastest KO in welterweight championship history? You have the highest takedown defense in welterweight history. You just fought a guy, 2 guys back to back that were on 7-fight win streaks, and you beat them convincingly. Let's pull out those stats. How many times have I been hurt? How many times have I been in danger? Those are stats that people don't recognize and they don't use. So with that said, I felt like it was a poor usage of stats. I don't think he meant anything by it. But I really never thought George was going to be like, oh, I win the fight, George is going to walk in the octagon and you know, they announced that we're going to fight. I never had that, you know, that emotion that was going to happen.
And finally, more to that point, not to put you on the spot, but on Twitter, BT Sport just said that Dana told them that George is going to fight Bisping next. So what is your reaction to that?
I have no reaction to that, my man. I said it earlier in the press conference earlier this week when that comment was made. And, you know, I said exactly what I saw. I listened to the podcast. I can read between the lines. I'm a very smart guy. And I have no reaction to it. The next person that steps in front of me, I'm going to beat him. That's it.